Oh, hello there, everybody in Facebook land. My name is Riley Saunders, and I'm a village idiot. We are super stoked to have this party keep rolling. We are on our 20th episode. I can't even believe that, of season 2. That means it's our 45th episode we've done. That is a testament to how talented the people of Winnipeg are, the musicians of Winnipeg are. We've made it our goal to make the next biggest band in Canada. Has to be from Winnipeg. We know that with your help, we're going to make that happen. This is an interactive rock show, so we do ask everybody, if you enjoy this, if you want to support this, please click like, please click share, and also give us some comments that you want read out to Scott Nolan, and we'll be happy to do so. We are also super pumped to always talk about our partners at the King's Head Pub. They're the main sponsor and the main partners of Live at the Roslyn, and we really appreciate those guys. And starting Sunday nights, if anyone's ever been to the King's Head on Sunday nights, we are starting their parties back up. Industry nights starting at 8 p.m. this Sunday. We actually have a super band. It's the Middle Coast with Sheena from Red Moon Road. So two of our biggest Live at the Roslyns ever. They're morphing together to make a super band with John Barron on bass. And this Sunday, there's no cover. Everybody can join us at the King's Head Pub. Today, though, we have a special treat. And it's going to be a very nice, intimate setting for an amazing artist who is debuting a brand new album he's in the midst of recording. And it's a Manitoba-centric album. And nobody's heard these songs. And he's going to play it in its entirety today. Scott Nolan. After this theme song, we're going to have Scott Nolan. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
At 8 p.m.
Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you Scott Nolan with his buddy Kevin McLean on the Wurlitzer. Take it away, guys.
The sun comes up, the sun goes back down. It's always a bridge to cross in this town. It's always a bridge to cross in this town. It's the hour a day where your shadow is long, and a man can start over again. I'm coming home right, and I'm coming home soon. I sure hope you'll understand. Even the bad days outweigh the good ones. Somehow it always gets through. Watching trains off time I knew it was for good. If the life didn't kill you, the loneliness would. I'd bring you back if I could. And even when the bad days outweigh the good ones, somehow it always gets through. Watching trains off Arlington Street was my favorite memory of you. The sun comes up, the sun goes back down. There's always a bridge to cross in this town. There's always a bridge to cross in this town.
Thanks, everybody. Well, it's good to see so many Charleswood people. There's a lot of Charleswood moments in this new collection of songs. At 39, I gave up cigarettes and started walking, and it took me from where I live currently in St. James back to Charleswood, you know. And I'd walk those streets that we used to run wild in, and these songs and poems and ideas started coming to me, and I think I'll just keep moving. This was my first older woman at about maybe 11, I think, and the one that taught you how to blow smoke rings and skip class and all the French things. She taught me all the French things, the whole list. And heaven forbid she's listening. This song's called Candy.
Candy, and she grew up on my street. Every day she'd go by and smile at me. And after school I'd go home, I'd lay right down and dream. Sweet red ruby lips and everything in between. Skip class and smoke cigarettes behind the church. If I knew anything, Candy knew it first. She taught me more than I could ever learn in school. A suburb beautiful of lonely-hearted fools. Trailer out in the back, we fell asleep to the sounds of the railroad tracks. Candy and me, everything was gonna be alright. Freckled innocence under curly red hair. Lived with her mother and the boys from foster care. How easy it was to say her name. And I'd call out for her over and over again. sleep to the sounds of the railroad tracks. Candy and me, and everything was gonna be alright.
Hello, everybody watching in Facebook land. You are watching Scott Nolan live at the Roslyn. Thank you very much for joining us. The first two songs, as always, are brought to you by Quest Music. Those guys are great partners of Live at the Roslyn. There's 2 locations in Winnipeg. We're all about supporting local. We're super pumped that this whole set is about Manitoba and Scott Nolan, of course. And go visit those guys if you're ever in music needs. We're going to read out some comments, so everybody please give us some comments and for Scott. And also, please click share. Somebody will win a gift card to Newburger if you click share. Sharing is caring. First and foremost, Scott, tell us about, and Kevin, you guys were both on 92 City FM Wheeler in the Morning. How did that go?
We were. It was great. It was 7 o'clock, I think.
I was there at 8:30. Were you really there that early?
I used to say I'm like a dog in that I don't discriminate against time, but I'd be lying if I still said that, you know.
So you're like a timist. You're super against
I went home and
certain
slept till
times.
6 o'clock.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot to those guys for having us every single Wednesday at 8:30.
It was great.
Right on. And we're going to read out some comments from people at home. I'm going to start right now, but everybody, please make sure you click like, please click share, and give us some comments. Ian Matty says, "Très excited." Tammy Schillinger says, "Hello, Scott. We saw you once at the Frog Pond, watching you tonight in Mississippi."
Oh, very nice.
That's super cool about this. Everyone from around the country or actually around the world can watch. Melanie Coots says, "So great on 92 City this morning. Can't wait for this." Robert Selver's loving it right now. Ray Jaguar says, "Excellent. One of Canada's best singer-songwriters. Is the new album going to be vinyl, CD, or both?"
It'll be both.
Right on. And do we have any time frame on that, or is that way too early to talk about it right now?
You know, this is the closest I've come to doing anything really with it. These are the songs, and 1 or 2 of them I've started recording, and they vary. They don't necessarily sound exactly like this, but I don't know. Maybe next time it gets cold in Winnipeg.
Right on.
After this round, you know, I think it'll probably be out.
Right on. Well, Mike Pratt says he's watching a live concert while walking his dog. Amazing.
That's cool.
April Belina says, "Watching from Austin, Texas. Nice and warm
Hi,
here."
April, her sister's here.
Oh, really? Did she just come here to brag, or is she
more
watching?
Charleswood people?
Yeah, right on.
This is a very Charleswood record. There's a lot of Charleswood references and moments. And
Nice. Robert Allen Wrigley says, "Right on, brother." Viola Krause says, "Yay, Scott." Catherine Hunter is super pumped. She figured out how to tune in,
Very
and it
nice.
sounds great.
And one of our most celebrated authors. She's Catherine Hunter.
Right on.
Yeah.
And one more comment. Chuck Jones says, "Hey, Scott."
Hey, Chuck, and he's calling from Sioux Falls, I bet.
Right on.
Nice.
And everybody at home, if you're watching from out of town, just let us know where you're watching from. And, of course, we're going to keep the comments going. But everybody at home just wants a few more tunes. You want to take it away?
See, this is the real free trade here. This is the real NAFTA they can watch in Sioux Falls and Dallas. These are places I used to tour, and it's hard for me to do it. It's getting harder to do it all the time. So I suggested, what if I just go on TV and do it now? And this way they don't make me undress at the customs and stuff. And you wouldn't believe.
Is that a normal problem you have?
Oh, you wouldn't believe what they put me through. I'm afraid to go anywhere now. If there's a border, count me out. I was fearless as a young person in so many respects, and I'm afraid of everything now. I'd said when I arrived here earlier that I'd been to the Roslyn at least once or twice or a dozen times before, but I was a different person, and I was definitely, I don't think, here to play music. But it kind of looks the same. I remember a big courtyard with a tree, and I've walked around looking for it, and as you can see, I was a different person then, and I thought for sure there was this giant tree in the center of the apartment building. You would have thought maybe I'd stop and go, that's probably your imagination, but I don't know what to say other than these songs are softer and gentler and lyric heavy, but they're also drenched in a weird nostalgia for me, which at 43 is the most powerful drug in my life, is walking through these old neighborhoods and stuff and seeing old friends that are here tonight even. It's interesting. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, and it kind of runs through this collection of songs, I think, and I think it also qualifies me finally as a folkie. It's a little bit folky, I'll admit.
Sitting, waiting, wishing on a Manitoba skyline, watching the trains roll by. Don't sleep too late this time of year. It's almost always dark outside. Ghost cars circle in the old switch yard. 6 more weeks without the sun. I take a long walk, I watch the planes land. City cut a nice trail through industrial wasteland, between the golf course and the war museum. I love my old man, still I never see him. Knock, knock, ginger riding bumpers down the lane. Everything old is new again. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Everything is broken, everything is free. Go ahead and tell them how you heard it from me. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. I drove past the old neighborhood. Its front drives and satellite TVs. Out here where the trees grow tall, much of life is still wild. At least it used to be. And later, until there's nothing but the moon and me. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Everything is broken, everything is free. Go ahead and tell them how you heard it from me. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Thank you.
Everybody watching at home, you are watching Scott Nolan and Kevin on the Wurlitzer. It's actually interesting. Scott first told me who he's coming with today, and he said, I'm coming with Kevin McLean on the Wurlitzer. And the first thing I did was I Googled Wurlitzer. So now I see up front that's what you're playing there, and shout out to you there on the Wurlitzer.
It's the oldest thing up here, that Wurlitzer.
Cody James Gertson says beautiful, and he's playing with Otter than the Otters next week, and he's loving it right now. Lee Foster says he's enjoying the performance. Good to see Kevin on the keyboard as well. It's a Wurlitzer. Lee, I mean, how embarrassing. Imagine by accident calling a keyboard or a Wurlitzer a keyboard. That would be pretty rough. I've never done that in my life, that's for sure.
He didn't have a chance to get to Google.
Yeah, Betty Palin says, sounds awesome, Scott. Ian Maddie says, such a great storyteller. And don't worry, we will hear lots of stories tonight. Mark V. Peter says, are you Lane's older brother?
Lane's older brother.
I guess not. Let's move on. Bob Bergen sitting in the room here says, yeah, Bob Bergen sitting in the room here says, don't get much better than this, and we can all agree. Lynn Canny says, perfect first song, Scott. I'm a little bit behind.
Oh, I
just
love her.
Beautiful. Loretta Lynn Anderson says, love the stories behind your songs. Mark Junger says, right on, brother. Ellen Epler says, a piece of home. Much love, Winnipeg from Victoria.
Nice.
Thanks a lot for watching over
Mark
there.
Younger's great songwriter from Texas.
Right on.
One of my favorites.
Right on. Everybody at home, please click like and please click share. We actually just hit 100 shares, so we're going to see if we can hit over 200 for the night. And just so you know, everybody, that goes a long way. We want to make sure the world knows Scott Nolan's tunes, and we want to make sure the world knows about Manitoba. So if you enjoy what you're hearing, please share. Somebody will win a gift card to Newburger. Scott, tell us a little bit. Right now, how many albums have you ever released?
I think about 9.
9 albums?
Some bootlegs and some stragglers and...
Holy. And so when was the first album you ever released? How long ago?
First proper record, it was about 2000.
About 2000?
2001. It was called Postcards. And
right on. And how have you found yourself as an artist evolve in this world of music?
Age has been kind to me. I enjoy it more. I look back to when I was really touring hard and really working for it, really trying really hard. I enjoy it more now. I care about the things I should care less about a lot less, and so it's become a bit easier, I think like everything, you age into it. The business isn't that much friendlier, but for people like me, it makes space for us, So I'm not one to care or complain about the music industry because it's like, it's not really that relevant to my world,
Right on. And you are playing songs that you've never played before for anybody in the world. Is that correct?
Well, I probably played them for my wife and a couple friends here, but never really. I probably performed a couple of these publicly here and there, but most of them never. And I'm an anxious person, and I thought to myself, this is short notice. The whole band was unavailable. And Kevin was very accommodating, and I like to call him the most considerate man in music. He's a very thoughtful, generous character. And so I thought, I'm just going to make my life much more anxious and troublesome by making this hypothetical new record that doesn't exist. I've titled it. I've got a basic sequence here.
What's the title?
The title is Center of the House, and it happens to be the next song. And with my wife here in the audience is a childhood friend of mine, Corey. We go back to grade 4 in Charleswood together, and Corey, when we played in our first bands together, and he was kind of a curler, which connected him to my late grandfather. I was not a curler, much to my grandfather's disappointment. But anyway, so Corey and we played in heavy metal bands at about, I'd say 11 and 12 or so, and we came from families that worked really hard to get us out of the bad neighborhoods, and I got myself some bus tickets and just started going back into the bad neighborhoods. And Corey told me at about 12 or so, I think it was 12 or 13, he said, I got to stop hanging around with you. I'll be the kid that dies, I think. And so 25 years went by, and we both lived very different lives. And I started producing records with my engineer and partner, Jamie Sitar, in a little studio I built called The Song Shop. And as we became reconnected as friends, he would be a fly on the wall for all these records. And when we first hung out again, he said to me, are you going to the Motley Crue concert? And I'm like, no, I'm not, And so we kind of this thing just started happening, and he would watch all this music happen, and he reconnected as a kid. He played a bit of piano. He reconnected with playing piano, and one day he said to me, I'm leading into the song because he's helped me a bit with this song here, being the curler. He said to me, I have this 10-year plan that I'm going to accompany you on piano on stage. And I said, I'm doing a Leonard Cohen tribute on Saturday. You got a week. And he did it, and we performed. And since then, he's come on a couple tours and road managed for me, and played a little bit in the set. We'll do it again on Saturday. He plays a bit of the piano that Kevin's playing, and it's been this funny thing, neither one of us died. At about 12, we got alcohol poisoning at Hewitt Park in Charleswood. And both of us should have died, truthfully. And by a miracle, his father found us. And it was a very traumatic experience for Corey's father. And it was so traumatic, in fact, for Corey that he never really drank again. That's the crazy thing. And I, of course, I went a whole different direction myself. I kept trying. But anyway, so as we reconnected, I kept thinking about my late grandfather, who was without a question, the strongest and most important kind of role model in my life, and just a very good man in every sense. His name was Bert Langrid, and he was a past president at the Grain Exchange Curling Club, and I carried all this weight that I never even tried to curl, you know. I was doing bad shit at a young age, and so I never did it, and I kind of wish I had, and it looks like the kind of sport I could actually do, you know. It's pretty laid back. It doesn't look too taxing exactly, but anyway, so I thought I would write this song, and so Corey helped me with the language, you know, and much to my surprise and delight, the vernacular associated with curling is very poetic. I got to tell you, you know, it's...
All right, well, hurry hard.
Hurry hard.
Take it away.
You see, now, and it needed a bigger setup because there's a lot of people in the States not only wondering, what's this curling he's talking about? They're probably thinking, what's that hat he's wearing? It's we've had a late snowfall here in Manitoba, like, when I say late snowfall, like 2 feet on Tuesday night, you know? So, it's cold here. This is called Center of the House.
Bonspiel started on a somber note. A free press reporter wrote, extra end and angle race, a last hurrah for the Grain Exchange. The roaring game felt like the briar, and we lost the Thistle Club to fire. Its members merged with Valor Road. Divulge the breach if you break the code. Hit and stick, hurry, hurry hard. Shot for 5 on arena ice and televised. Ring the bell, buy a round, tap back center of the house. Kids aren't curling, the numbers are down. A long winter in a 2-sheet town. Slip-on gripper, red brick slider, compositor, carbon fiber, matching jackets and purple hearts. Scotland the brave, the curlers march. Hit and stick, hurry, hurry hard. A shot for 5 on arena ice and televised. 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 On arena ice and televised.
Everybody at home, if you are just tuning in, you are watching Scott Nolan live at the Roslyn. We do this every single Wednesday. It's a show where you can just sit back at home anywhere in the world and watch Winnipeg's best from the comfort of your own home. And we're super excited right now because Scott Nolan is debuting songs that have never been before heard, except by his wife. And you know, who knows if she's the biggest critic, but I'm sure she's a great lover. But does she criticize you all the time? Does she, when you play the songs, is she sitting there like, nah, that's crap?
I'll tell you the truth, and I've looked long and hard. She makes everything I do better, and a lot of my heroes, as a matter of fact, wives play critical roles in their work, and this might be the most yet. You know, I was altering lyrics as late as 3-4 in the morning last night with her, and my poetry in particular. She's edited and added grammar to all my work because I have a very kind of ramshackle education, and so yeah, she's very instrumental. I'm glad you asked that because she's undoubtedly the power source for me.
Well, I'm going to read some more comments from people at home, but give her a shout-out, a proper shout-out there.
Where is she? Oh, she's in the other room. Rachel Searle Hoogstraten.
Right on. Mandy Carrington. Oh, sorry, go.
She also runs the legendary Times Change High and Lonesome Club on Main Street.
Shout out to those guys.
I used to hang out there a lot, too, before we met. I think I'm better now.
Mandy Carrington at home is watching. She says, "Gotta ask for Roscoe's sake. Play Trainwreck." Maybe we'll see how that goes. Alicia Goki says, "Hey Scott, good to see your face." Daniel John Emerson says, "Holy," and he says a swear that we can't say. We're actually on Shaw TV, so we can't swear anymore. So I got to be very careful here. Megan Stewart says, "Are you ever going to record and release Cabbagetown on an album?"
That's right. It's on this one.
Right on. And Sherry Dykeman says, "I second that, Amanda, for Roscoe's sake." Dana Chartrand says, "My daughters say, great job, guys." April Blina says, "Please play Rosie." Everybody, we're not taking requests today, but maybe I'll stop reading those. Lisa Lane from Eagle Picks and Sticks, who actually gave us some custom picks and sticks. They're amazing.
I
says
love them.
Mesmerizing.
They were terrific. I love
Scott took a look at those. Yeah, those were cool, eh?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Kevin Roy is watching, streaming on his way to Thunder Bay. Sounds great, Scott.
Nice, very nice.
92 CDFM says, "Thanks for stopping by earlier." April Blina says, "Hello from Austin. Come visit, Scott." Viola Krause says, "Sounded amazing this morning on 92. David Thomas Allen says, "Charles Wood, shout out."
Nice.
My parents, as always, are watching in Mesa, Arizona, and they say they're loving what they're hearing right now. Cody James Gertson says he's on his way to Bahamas. And he's watching on the way there. Oh, Bahamas. I guess the show at Park Theater. I was going to say, Cody, you play live at the Roslyn next week. Like, come back soon. Kendall Grosny Needzowitz says hello from Kevin's daughter, Riel, who's watching the show. This is awesome. Are we talking about Kevin McLean's daughter?
Yeah, that would be it.
Right on.
Very nice, very nice.
Learned to type already.
There we go. Yeah. Scott Wiles.
She's a genius, man.
Yeah. Scott Wiles says, "Great set, brother." Bobby Starr's loving what he's hearing right now. William Prince
William
says the best.
William Prince bought me this guitar.
Tell us about it.
Unbelievable. He came by my house around Christmas, I think, and walked in with this in a case and handed it to me, and I was like, "What is this?" I couldn't believe it. And even, you know, in my adult life, no one's ever bought me a guitar. Are you kidding? At first, I thought, man, he's making that much money already? Holy smokes. I could, you know, I've been looking at this guitar for years. But aside from it being very special, obviously, to me, he'd went to a local music store and talked to Wally Landreth, who was when I was a kid sneaking in the Blue Note. You know, Wally Landreth was somebody I watched every week and a musician I admired. And so William went to him and had him set this guitar up and get it all ready for me. And you know and they, you know, it's kind of designed as a fingerstyle kind of guitar for kind of the music we're doing right now. And very thoughtful of him. And at a time when I was kind of making a shift a little bit, these songs are a little softer and quieter than what I often do. And I'd been telling William, you know, I spent so many years on the road, and after shows, people say, "I love when you blow the harp, and I love when you do guitar solos." And I should have been warmed by this, but I wasn't. It messed with me a bit and discouraged me, and I realized the whole deal is really getting comfortable with the real you, and that's the hardest thing in music. And this is getting closer for me. We played heavy metal in uninsulated garages as kids in Charleswood, and we weren't very good, but we never stopped. But so yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I like the easier stuff a little bit now, and so this guitar was very well timed, and William's a very generous friend. And
right on. When you were playing younger, you know, I think it happens with a lot of musicians. They're always playing hard rock and metal. And then I think a little bit as you grow as an artist, it typically slows down as you get older.
Yeah.
Hey, I was just trying to be nice. Nobody's sitting here trying to call you old right now. But
truthfully, I feel like I'm getting younger. That's the weird paradox of it all.
Well, what causes the evolution? Is it just the art, or like the artistry coming out? Is it really just a matter of you know, when you're younger, you think these are the coolest guys in the world, but what makes us change and evolve, especially as a musician? What makes you change and evolve over time and want to do new things?
A little bit of everything. I fell in love with the road. I could never see it ending. And then I fell out of love with the road, and I sometimes can't ever see going back. And I'm coming back to Charleswood over and over again. Aside from Kevin, there's Joanna Miller and Damon Mitchell and Sky Oniston and Ashley Au and lots of musicians I grew up with, you know. So we played in bands, and we played in each other's bands. And, you know, when we talk about it sometimes, we can all seem to agree usually that the loud aspect of it is the thing we hide behind. Mm-hmm. Most musicians will go, yeah, it's hard to play quiet. And for me, I guess personally, it's if I had to pick one thing I couldn't live without, it's writing. And I realized a little bit as the years went on that I write a lot, and for it to fit and translate in the context of a song, it's kind of hard when the music's bigger than the lyric, you know. And so, yeah, and all the guys I love in the South, you know. That's what I love. They just show up with an acoustic guitar. Their guitars don't even always sound good. They'd plug right in the PA, and it would be kind of thin and not great sounding. And then they would lay out these songs that were so captivating and compelling that it erased everything around it. And I always wanted to do that. And I was very lucky early in my career to land in places like Texas. And a great Texas artist cut one of my songs early on. So I was a little bit known in these circles. And what made me stand out was I played loud. You know, I played through an amp, and I did stuff that the songwriter guys weren't doing. So that took me some places. And but through it all, I just wanted to do what they were doing. I wanted to write a good enough song that I didn't have to have a wah-wah pedal in the mix, you know?
Right on. Well, everything that you just told us has led you to where you are today, and we're so pumped to have you here right now.
Oh, it's a
and we
pleasure.
want to hear more songs. And everybody at home, if you do appreciate what you're hearing, please click like and please click share. Somebody will win a gift card to Newburger, but help spread the love. Take it away, Scott.
This is a song I've called Yellow Lights of Moray, which is a bridge that connects Charleswood to St. James. And when I was a kid, it was a golf course. And one of the big highlights I remember was we were getting ready to go to the Judas Priest concert. And we'd all kind of robbed our parents' liquor cabinets. And we were getting into it early in the day because we were so psyched up for Judas Priest. And at lunch hour that day, walking past the Charleswood Curling Club was Judas Priest playing the back nine. And it was the coolest, craziest thing. And I remember thinking, God, like, you know, Rob Halford had like a little visor on, and it was such a weird thing to see him later ride out on stage on a Harley. Anyway, now it's a bridge. And an okay bridge, not a special bridge, but I wanted to write something that kind of made it stand out. It's just your regular old bridge that teenagers live under typically.
Trench coat speaks into a cell phone. Woman in black dances with the wind. Crosstown sirens are wailing. Watch them unfold from the pedestrian bridge. Clouds form and the sky look like a carousel. Rivers doing what rivers do. Saddle up, green arrow. Pedal till my shadow is long. Under the yellow light clouds part and open to the heavens. People doing what people do. The yellow lights of Moray. The yellow lights of Moray. Under the yellow lights of Moray. The yellow lights of Moray.
Everybody watching at home, you're watching Scott Nolan live at the Roslyn, and we got to give a quick shout out to our friends at Capital K Distillery. They're actually another proud partner live at the Roslyn. They're Manitoba's first and only award-winning grain-to-bottle craft distillery made with 100% Manitoba wheat, and we're all about supporting Manitoba. And this whole night, our tunes about Manitoba, which is so cool. And we got to go tour that place, and it's so awesome. They make premium vodka and gins you can find at the Liquor Mart. And I know that's so important to point out,
That's
but
what we drank earlier, right?
that is what we drank earlier.
Yeah. My favorite, too.
And yeah, I'm going to read a few more comments because I'm getting a little bit far behind. But everybody at home, this is an interactive rock show. Leave your comments. And even if I don't read them out, Scott will hopefully go check them out later. And your likes and your shares are worth a lot to Scott. That's the biggest compliment you can give. Jeff McIntosh says, way to go, man. Ken Stahl says, love you, Scott. Austin, Texas is watching. Charlie Taylor says, hello from Vancouver. Diane Clark says, your Oklahoma team is here. Robert Wilkes says it looks good and sounds even better. What a treat, man. Taylor Barron's watching here in Winnipeg, right on River Avenue, so far away there. Viola Krause says Eastern Pennsylvania. Love that Silver Hill album. Tell us a little bit. Silver Hill came out a few years ago. You have 2 albums, I think, on Apple Music.
I'm glad she mentioned that, actually, because someone said hello, and they'd mentioned they saw me at the Frog Pond. And that's the Frog Pond at Blue Moon Farm in Silver Hill, Alabama. Oh. And I was touring with Mary Gaucher, and they do this really great concert series down there, and it's just very unique, kind of like it's like Folk Fest workshops a little bit, but it's curated, so it's people that can interact very easily on the fly, and unbelievable talent they get there. And there was a band literally born on their stage called Willie Sugarcaps, and they're all native Alabamans that, when I met them, it was like 1,000 years of ancient musical wisdom, and they're comprised of Grayson Capps and Corky Hughes, Will Kimbrough, Anthony and Savannah Lee Crawford, and they're just incredible. I mean, Anthony spent most of his career with Neil Young and Steve Winwood. Will Kimbrough shared our post tonight. He's on a plane to Scotland with Emmylou Harris, and so I met these guys, and I really wanted to make a record that we could sit down and do like this, you know, and their voices harmonize perfectly with Grayson on the bottom and Savannah on the top. And yeah, I heard them individually, I heard them together, and I just thought, boy, I just want to make a record with them. And I jumped in my car, I drove straight to Alabama. It was crazy. We cut the bulk of it in 2 days, all live, and then Anthony Crawford, who produced with me, he added all these beautiful embellishments from piano to pedal steel guitar, and he's a legendary harmony singer. You know, he was playing hee-haw at 15 and stuff. I mean,
hee-haw? What's a hee-haw?
Well, hee-haw and Grand Ole Opry and all these kind of legendary country shows, you know. And what I liked about Anthony as a co-producer is he's the kind of artist that doesn't have a record collection. It's about a foot long, and they're all iconic records that he played on. So music for him was from boyhood and playing with his family. So it was really. So I'm glad she mentioned the Frog Pond, because they're they're very important to me. It's been years since we made the record. I've been unable to get back to perform it with them, you know. It's I'm not going to get into these issues now, but it's an unfriendly proposition for me to work in America. It's not the same arrangement it is for an American to come work here, and it's I'd be going off on a whole left turn tangent here, but it's very, very difficult, and it's I say this now because it suffocates culture. You know, I went and made a record with this unbelievable collective of artists, and it's the truest merging of Canadiana and Americana I think I've ever heard. You know, it's raw, it's beautiful, it's we all just put our hearts and souls into it, and what it would take for us to stand on a stage together, it's not really manageable, you know. So that's why I haven't been back in the States. I like the joke that Trump has me on the no-fly list, and that could be true. And I would own up to that. It's probably my own fault. Watermelon Slim first got this idea in my head. He's like, Scott, I got to retire, and, I want to get on the no-fly list, he told me. And I thought, man, that's the way to walk away, you know? That's the way to walk away.
So maybe tonight we can get you on that no-fly list.
We could, you know?
So I know Donald Trump, if you're watching at home right now, we have a pretty rough terrorist in the apartment here.
Scott's career is dismal and looks quite pitiful. He's looks like he's playing in some sort of a apartment building, and he's seen better days. Tweet.
Yeah, we can't have that in the USA. We're only the best.
To be fair, I don't like any of our leaders. Canada, America, I don't like any of them. So I'm not singling anybody out unfairly. I'm saying we could do better on all counts.
Well, tonight you're our leader. Tell us what song do you have next?
I'd like to do a song I call Morning on the Mountaintop. And again, in Charleswood on Elmhurst Road, I grew up the street from a woman named Orlean Seller. And we were kind of childhood friends, and our lives intersected a number of times. And we had some of the same struggles, her and I, as kids. And she passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. It's getting on a couple years ago now. And it was a real shock to everybody that knew and loved her, and she was just such a special energy and a firecracker. And I learned later her people came from the Sioux Nation, and she was raised by a very sweet couple up the road from me in Charleswood that I got to know after her passing. And anyway, when I got the news that she had passed away, her sister wrote on Facebook the expression, all right, all right, all right. And when we were kids, that's how Orlean would enter a room like a hand grenade. And I think it's from the movie Dazed and Confused, but she'd burst in the room and go, all right, all right, all right. And as soon as I read that, it just took me right back there. And she was special and talented and beautiful. And yeah. I do the only thing I know how to do when these things happen is write about them. So this is for Orlean Seller. It's called Morning on the Mountaintop.
Why'd you have to leave so soon? Without saying goodnight, so many broken hearts. All right, all right, all right. Songs of mercy, songs of joy. She who brought the light, buffalo heart medicine. All right, all right, all right. My love is mountains as much as the sea, and this is right where I want to be. Well, she whose name is in the wind, spirits free to let love in. Morning on the mountaintop, too tired to fight. place where the light gets in. Alright, alright, alright. 'Cause love is like a memory to which we hold on tight, where everything is everything. Alright, alright, alright. My love is mountains as much as the sea, and this is right where I want to be. She whose name is in the wind. The spirit's free to let love in. My love is mountains as much as the sea. This is right where I want to be. She whose name is in the wind. Spirit's free to let love in. Why'd you have to leave so soon without saying goodnight? So many broken hearts. Alright, alright, alright.
Everybody watching at home in Facebook land, you're watching Scott Nolan with Kevin McLean on the Whirlit, sir. And we're going to read some more comments from people at home. I know I'm getting way behind, but Scott will go read those comments later. Right now, we're going to introduce the team behind the scenes making this happen. Right beside me, we have Joey Sent from J Sent Photography. She is the hardest working person in the music business. For 15 years, she's been at the front row of every rock show. It's never been about money. It's been about the love for Winnipeg music, and that's what we're all about. Of course, she wants to get paid too, right? Joey, do you ever? But I love this girl, and she's so amazing to have on this team. Right across from the way, we have Mike Osakoya from Visual Soul Studios. And he's been with us since the second episode, and again, doing this for the love of music and the love of Winnipeg. And right behind the scenes, Kevin Ripe is still here, everybody, and he's right beside his pal, Morgan Coates. Captain Morgan Coates has been here from the start doing the sound for us, but he also does so much more from us. And, of course, Kevin is an idiot that everybody loves. And I'm just going to read out some more comments. We're going to keep the night rolling. Is that cool? Sherry Dykeman says, hey, Scott, tuning in from Thunder Bay. Love listening to you. Kent Davies has a good point here. He says, if you're going to do the Melodica on 92 City FM, then where is it tonight live at the Roslyn? Kevin, do you want to speak for that?
Is it here? It's actually at home.
Oh, he forgot his Melodica at home.
You can do the Melodica without the Melodica, though.
Okay, he's going to do the Melodica without the Melodica. Kevin Peary says, watching here in Kansas City.
Very nice.
Barb Reimer's in the room right now, and she's super delighted to be here. Mark Peters is loving it right now. Kevin Coral says, what a great batch of songs. Bobby Starr says, most deaf a folk song. I don't know what he's talking about. I think I'm a little far behind here. Chris Parson in the room says, loving this track. Ivan Axel Spence says, marvelous tune. Loving what he's hearing right now. Tim McCox says, big love from Dallas. Digging the new tunes, my brother. And give us a little bit of an explanation of what tunes you're playing tonight and why.
Sure, yeah. Well, I've written about Winnipeg. I mean, it's in there. Always has been, but I found myself writing a kind of really a pretty full collection of songs. In fact, the next song we'll do will be the only song that strays from Winnipeg, only because it's kind of where my roots were in an old neighborhood in Toronto. But outside of that, the whole record connects through Manitoba. And, you know, it's a funny thing for me. I'm Toronto-born, Winnipeg-raised. I consider Winnipeg my home. I still get an energy when I go to Toronto that I can't shake, but I love Winnipeg. And, you know, early in my career, I worked largely in the U.S. for many years, and it's interesting. I found myself kind of defending Winnipeg, especially actually more amongst other Canadians than Americans. But early in my career, I found myself kind of defending it, sticking up for it, and in the later years, I found myself bragging about it because it's, the way New Orleans have street parades and all kinds of crazy stuff. Man, we have a 5-star restaurant where the two rivers meet. We have 7,000 years of documented history. The song "Center of the House," which is the album title, it's a reference to curling. It's a part of the curling vernacular. The center of the house would be the house, the rings where you're trying to get the curling rock to. But to me, it also, we're certainly the center of Canada, literally and figuratively, and we're actually the longitudinal center of North America. So we really we really are the dead center of it all here, and we don't always get. I don't know, things are slower to hit us sometimes than like sometimes I'll go to Transcona and it'll feel like Grand Forks to me, I'll go to the North End and it's like, it's very eclectic and it's not easy. Historically, it's known as a frontier town, and it really still is. It's not an easy city, but it's a special city. Before the Panama Canal, we were really poised to be the capital city. We were the shipping route to the world. We had the whole North Main Strip of the greatest vaudeville-era theaters there were. We had, I believe, one of the very first Pantages theaters. And so we kind of had it all, and the Panama Canal opened and killed us. And it keeps happening, Our early mayor, Stephen Juba, people often comment that he had a lot of great ideas that he didn't finish them all. So they built him a park down by the river there, and they didn't finish it, And the steps leading up to the St. Boniface Basilica that come out of the river, they built for the Pope. And it rained that day, so he never walked them. And then they named the bridge for the Queen, and she wanted to go out in my friend's boat instead of the fancy boat they had set aside for her. And they ran out of gas. And it was like front page news in Africa and all over the world, and it's a city of these great intentions, but the truth is we're already great without those kind of little intentions, I got a song I'll close with called "If I Could Only Leave Here," which I was so kind of inspired by John Sampson's One Great City. And I was also kind of mystified by the amount of people that didn't get it. The trouble with irony is not everybody gets it. So some people would hear his song and go, "Oh, he hates Winnipeg, he should leave. How dare he insult the Jets and the Guess Who?" And it's like, only a real Winnipegger could have ever written that song. And those of us that are from here know, I remember the Jets games as a kid. I remember seeing the Jets versus the Oilers and Howard Chuck and Gretzky era. Like it doesn't get better, and I love the city. And it baffles me that people complain and the weather. It's like the weather's always been the same, It doesn't change. All we talk about is the snow. It's like, welcome to Winnipeg in spring, man, But it's also no mistake that, like, a Burton Cummings, for instance, utterly unique, eccentric, even sometimes, dare I say, rough around the edges, but always brilliant. You could see him in a Salisbury house drinking beer in the afternoon, and he'll sit down at the piano and blow your mind.
It's fun little fact is Burton Cummings used to live in this building for 20 years.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Isn't that pretty cool?
He could be here right now.
Yeah. So I think everybody at home just heard you say something. Are you saying this is the last song?
No. A song I'm doing later on. But so it's special. Guy Madden. Every medium of arts is powerfully well represented in this town. Katharina Vermette, Catherine Hunter, who was watching earlier. Holy smokes, we're so kind of well represented here. And for me, certainly at this age of my life, it's not hard to stay modest and humble and keep your head down and work because you're surrounded by brilliance all the time. And I went and saw Philip Glass. It was so cold it felt like razor blades on my face, but it was spectacular inside. And so, I don't know, it's... There's a lot of fuel here. There's a lot of inspiration here, and it's not easy, and I like that. And, thinking of Burton, just so I'm not misunderstood here, like Neil Young kind of gets the credit as this ragged, wild kind of rock and roll guy. He's known that way around the world, but to be fair, I always thought Burton was there first, He'll wear his Mickey Mouse shirt, and his hair is kind of disheveled, and he'll sit down and do Albert Flasher and blow your mind. And I love his connection to the 50s. some of my favorite songwriters, Burt Burns and Doc Pomus, and I love that era of songwriting because it wasn't like a mystery. It wasn't hocus pocus. It was like, let's sit down and write this thing, you know, and you got to be good. You got to be a craftsman. It wasn't, there's a great Chuck Close quote, some of us wait around on inspiration, the rest of us just get to work, you know, and it's like, that's a very Winnipeg kind of thing, I think, is, you know, is it the cold? Is it the cheap houses? Yeah, it's all those things, you know. It's like some of the most incredible musical history in the country, from Lenny Breau to Bob Nolan, you know, like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Right on. Well, everyone at home definitely wants to hear some more tunes, and if you like it, please click please click share. Take it away, Scott.
Well, after that whole big tangent, I'm going to do a song about a neighborhood in Toronto, where my paternal people come from. It's called Old Cabbagetown, and my grandparents came up there. My dad came up there as a boy. By the time my dad was a boy, they'd raised part of the neighborhood and built what became known as the Regent Park projects, and it was kind of the template for the North American ghetto. And once they realized what a failing model it was, naturally they built it all across North America. And what happened was it was a bunch of low-rise apartments bookended by two high-rises and streets that didn't go all the way through. And my dad said as a boy, the Irish families would throw beer bottles from their balcony to keep the cops out. And it was a rough neighborhood. It's still a rough neighborhood in many respects. But it was my parents getting me out of there very young, bringing me to Winnipeg, that kind of led to the exposure to all this great music. So who knows what I might have done otherwise. But I like to sing this one from my father. It's called Cabbagetown.
Planting cabbage, digging up the front lawn, south of Gerrard Street, north of the Don, absorbed by the city, along the Don River Trail, Winchester Street to the village of Donvale. A working class neighborhood before the Great War. There was nobody left to be working for. George Fox ran the tavern till they tore it down, and that was the day I left Cabbagetown. Invisible city and towers in the park. Not even the cops come around here after dark. So long, old friend, I'll see you around. And that was the day I left Cabbagetown. First on Berkeley, then one block east. Parliament's no longer on Parliament Street. I gave up the drink, don't miss it in the least. I ain't got no family left back in the east. The roots can be murky. Look at how far we've come, only as good as your word. Don't forget where you're from, and I'll be here till they burn it down. Well, that was the day I left Cabbagetown. Invisible city and towers in the park. Not even the cops come around here after dark. So long, old friend, I'll see you around. And that was the day I left Cabbagetown, invisible city and towers in the park. Not even the cops come around here after dark. So long, old friend, I'll see you around. Now's the day I left Cabbagetown. That was the day I left Cabbagetown.
Everybody watching at home, you're watching Scott Nolan live at the Roslyn, and we're going to keep the rockin' going. We want to hear Scott's stories. We want to hear these tunes. And don't worry, if we never read your comment, he'll read them later and probably respond to you. But keep going, Scott. Take it away, bud.
I'm going to write back to all of them if I can. Let's see. Are we doing okay for time? We talked earlier about how much Will talked during his show, and I said, he probably got that from me. I had this great late friend. My early road manager's name was Ernie Blackburn, and I wrote a song after he passed called You Rock, We Roll. And Ernie worked for the Guess Who and BTO and all these guys, and he's a very loved guy in this town, and he was also a world champion chatterbox, to where like you could start nodding off and go, man, I'm kind of nodding off. You go, that's okay, bub. And when you wake up the next day, he's still sitting there talking to you. And I feel like when he died, I inherited it somehow. I think I showed up here saying I probably won't talk very much. It's never true.
I say that to everybody all the time.
It's never true.
And it's impossible.
My mom, I don't invite my family to shows, and it's not necessarily their cup of tea, let's say, and they listen to me growing up, and I don't think they're convinced that I'm any good at all. So my mom will say to me, my girlfriend went to your concert last night, and she said you were brilliant. And my mom will kind of cringe her nose and go, And I love that. I was leading somewhere with this, and anyway, now I don't know where that was. The talking. So my mom. She thought she would. The irony is, she decided she would fly to Toronto to come see me play. I thought, okay, that's a long way to go. But so she met a childhood girlfriend of hers, and when I pulled up to my gig, it was at the Dakota Tavern. And as I started to load in, I looked and I realized there was my mom in a Portuguese men's club, drinking beer. And my mom doesn't drink beer. What the heck is she doing in this men's club? And so she came down to the show, and they had a lovely time. We had a really good night, and I had some, there were some Nolans at the show, which was great. We don't get to see often. And anyway, my mom said to me before the show, she said, I like it when, my mom's not really into music. She told me she didn't discover music for pleasure till she was in her 60s, and I thought, oh my God, I wouldn't have made it, But again, I love that about her, and her opinion matters to me because of that. She doesn't subscribe to any hip anything, it's good or it's bad, and I love that kind of concept. And so she says to me before my set, I love it when the singers tell. I love it when they tell their stories and then do the song. And I said, sure, I like that too, but it can be an indication of a bad songwriter. You're going to get some long-winded thing about something, and it has nothing to do with the song. It can be amazing, and it can be painful. And but I went and did my show, and I thought, well, I'm going to tell all these stories, and a lot of these songs have to do with my family and different things, and some of them can be pretty personal and more autobiographical than you might think. And I did my set, and it was a great night, and I sat back at the table with my mom and my Auntie Aid, and my mom leaned in and said, maybe just play the songs. I love that. I don't know. Those are the things I remember.
Well, maybe just play the songs right now.
Maybe just play the song. Is that my mom typing?
Yeah, I think I just read that from Mrs. Nolan. Take it away.
All right, this is set out somewhere between the Harvest Sun and the Harvest Moon festivals. I love those little festivals, and I wrote this out near Clearwater Bay, and when I played there, I stay in Crystal City with my good friend John Sabot, who owns the pizzeria. And so I wrote this a year ago when I played out there. I call it 8 Ball over Old Vienna.
Country kitchen, basement bar, gravel roads under falling stars, west of the valley in the border town. It's where we'll meet once the sun goes down. Radio with a broken antenna, 8 Ball over Old Vienna. Still traveling Highway 3 and wondering if you ever wonder about me. Clear water at the river's bend, McLaren's dog got loose again. 3 o'clock set on the old main stage. Big yellow sun staring right in my face. A warm front rolls in from the south. Children playing in the schoolhouse. Prairie harvest, full moon, ready or not. Winter's coming soon. Pamela with time to spare, passing through La Riviere. It's last call, everybody's going home. It's almost like no time had passed. Some things are still built to last, like old friends. It's nothing like old friends. Was quiet in the car. The winds cried like a steel guitar. I thought of you passing Boys of Vain. Halfway there and it started to rain. I guess sometimes life just gets busy. You out here and us in the city. Next time let's not wait so long. Some things through La Riviere, it's last call. Everybody's going home. It's almost like no time had passed. Some things are still built to last, like old friends. There's nothing like old friends.
Is in 2 songs, or where we at? Just keep going. All right. All right.
Well, you just let me know when the encore is going to be.
Okay. I'll pretend to walk over there and come right back.
To mention the stars, just watch them fall. There goes another one now. Not to mention the stars, under the light of the moon, how it shines in your eyes. There goes my loves the night. We're all just warming our hands by the fire. How good it is to love somebody, and just to love. Between the thunder and the rain, how high I'm yours, like a train. Between the thunder and the rain, I'm caught in a storm, my heart like a drum. I'm waiting on a sign or a miracle to come. We're all just warming our hands by the fire. How good it is to love somebody, and just to love. He was like nothing even mattered before tonight. He was like nothing even mattered before tonight. Before
Everybody, you've been watching Scott Nolan, and we're all having an amazing time. We're just going to let him keep playing because that's what everybody at home wants. Oh, you need a quick drink?
Well, I'll just top her up here. But,
if he needs a quick top-up, then we'll...
I can talk while I do this.
You do it then. Take it away. Keep it going. Everyone's loving it. There's a lot of people watching at home. We just want to keep watching you playing.
This is how I tour now, so thank you for coming out. And everything is virtual now.
So now you literally do not have to leave Winnipeg, but everybody around the world can see you.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to leave Winnipeg.
We don't want you to.
I feel accepted here. And
you're ours.
I feel accepted here, and I received... Okay, so we're on Shaw. Oh, so I'm not swearing. I received... Okay, well, a couple things happen. I'm gonna do this. This is kind of the final song that completes this collection of Winnipeg songs. But you know, we can always play more songs, of course. But I would like to say, Siren City. There's always a siren to be had in this city. Lately, it shows I've been talking a little bit about how my midlife crisis, as it happens, turned out to be a tracksuit. And what it was I went on a Home Roots tour. If you know, Home Roots is a wonderful Manitoba organization started by the people that started Winnipeg Folk Fest. And what they do is they tour me in people's homes. In this case, we were in northern Manitoba and Saskatchewan a little bit. And, you know, I read the old magazines, and you look at, like, Willie Nelson in the 70s, and he was always wearing Adidas. If he wasn't on stage in denim and boots, he was in a tracksuit. And I thought, this guy knows what he's doing. He lives on a bus, you know, and so you want to be comfortable. So I never really got the tracksuit for healthy living, per se, as much as comfort. And on tour, you do nothing but kill a whole day waiting to do your gig. And I'd be out around, you know, in Edmonton in my tracksuit, and I'd find myself in these, like, mini malls and with smoothie bars and, like, hot yoga studios, and people would be going in groups and think I was a part of their group, so they'd wave me, you know, and I had nothing to do. So I started doing these things. It's the truth. And lo and behold, the tracksuit led to healthier living. And then I would talk about it at shows, and you know, my walking route often is I go through Assiniboine Park and out into Charleswood. And one day I was on my walk, and this guy went past me really quick, and I heard him yell, "Midlife crisis!" And I was like, "What?" I turned around, and he's like, "I was at your show." And another time, a guy whizzed by me in his car and said, "Hey, Home Roots," you know, and I realized, oh my God, the tracksuit's turning me into the celebrity, whether it's the music or not. And anyway, so I'd be getting spotted now all of a sudden in the tracksuit. But I will say this: it was well intentioned, and it led to me making more positive habits in my life. And in the interest of the no-fly list, I'm a proud new patient of Delta 9, a Manitoba company that deal in medical marijuana. And to all my American friends watching, my weed comes in the mail now. It's another reason you're not going to likely see me in the southern U.S. anytime soon, because your medical marijuana does not yet come in the mail. So I will be a little bit longer, but I think about you all the time, and I miss Alabama and Texas and Arkansas and Oklahoma and all these places. And if they just relaxed their medical laws, you know. See, Mom, they're just stories. I'm just telling stories. It's just an entertainer. I loaned out the title of this song to Mike Latchislaw. He's used it to call his documentary. It's called "If I Could Only Leave Here," and I took a gig at the Splash Dash Water Taxis, another great Manitoba company down at the Forks. The owner, Gord, happened to be a regular of my shows. Around the time I got tired of touring, he said, "Hey, what are you doing this summer?" I said, "I'm going to come work on your boat." And that was that. He trained me, he taught me, he got me all set up, and away I went. And he knew what I wanted to do, and his only request was that he got to hear the songs first, which seemed reasonable. And so, you know, I'd like park my boat under the Queens Bridge and stuff, and the other workers would be like, "What's that guy doing?" They'd go back and go, "You know, that guy's sitting under the bridge over there. He's not working." And it smells strangely like medical marijuana over there. And see, we can talk about this stuff openly in Canada now. I don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed. Anyway, so this is called "If I Could Only Leave Here."
Breaking ice under wooden legs, even the wealthy are cold in Winnipeg. Affable leaders, disposable heroes, that is a check you would better add zeros. We who stand tall as waters rush in, some make it out only to come back again. One great city caught in the slump, toboggan slides over the buffalo jumps. Here's to the fortunes of Maine and St. Mary. This one goes out from the middle of the prairies, light on the rails till harvest is in. This boat is too big for the waters you're in. And if I could only leave here, it's just not the same since you're not around. Everyone knows this is nowhere. It's where the best things are found. Our homeless or buskers, too proud to beg, even musicians own homes in Winnipeg. Our sunsets, of course, just keep driving north. Man, some places never change. Fall brings the winter to keep us indoors. Springtime to us means just a little bit more. If I could only leave here, it's just not the same since you're not around. Everyone knows this is nowhere. just not the same since you're not around. Everyone knows this is nowhere. It's where the best things are found. If I could only leave here. Thanks, everybody.
We had a thing at home. I was talking to everybody at home, and we all decided that you're going to play 3 more songs. Oh, yeah? All right. Well, everybody at home absolutely loved what they were hearing, and this encore, as always, is brought to you by the Merchant Selkirk. And you know the Merchant Selkirk, right?
My heart.
Tell us a little bit about the merch. What do you think?
I go back with Dean and Kevin Coral and Mark Waterman and all those guys in Selkirk. And you know what? This one goes out to Big Chad. I think this is I just got to know him more recently, and what a guy, and that whole community. I love those guys. They're great. Dean and I were wild when we were young, and now he kind of takes care of everybody out there. He looks after everything, and I didn't see that coming.
Well, he takes care of us here Live with the Roslyn. He's a
a
proud
great
supporter of Live with the Roslyn. Shout out to the Merchant Selkirk and everybody. We're going to get 3 more songs uninterrupted by Scott Nolan and Kevin McLean on the Wurlitzer. Thank you very much for watching. And next week we have Odder Than the Otters. Thanks, everyone.
This is arguably my best-known song, and that would be because a great artist from Houston, Texas, named Hayes Carl recorded it years ago, and he the one song, he put it on the map for me, and my career would look different without it, frankly, and I've always been grateful. But nobody knows I wrote it, and I'm okay with that. I was once at a festival in Arkansas, and I heard a bunch of guys playing this around a fire. And I went and stood there kind of thinking, this is unbelievable. And when they were done, I said, hey, I wrote that song. And they wanted to beat me up. I had to hightail it out of there. Anyway, it's called Bad Liver and a Broken Heart.
Arkansas, my head hurts. I'd love to stick around or maybe make it worse. Well, I got a girl out in Henrietta. Her love's like tornado weather. It's girls like this keep me trying. She goes off like an air raid siren. Come in clean, leave torn apart. Bad liver in a broken heart. Bad liver in a broken heart. Indian summer, Oklahoma sunset. There's a nicer place, I haven't been there yet. I'm standing out front of the old blue door. Too tired for sleep, too drunk for more. It's nights like this keep me trying. Well, a woman always knows when her man is lying. It ain't me, I was just playing the part. A bad liver and a broken heart. A bad liver and a broken heart. this? Who's the president? What the hell year is this? Doesn't anybody speak about the truth anymore? Oh, maybe that's what songs used to be for. And you're the wind and I'm on fire. And this line of work, no one retires. You come in clean leaf, torn apart. Better living in a broken heart. Better living in a broken heart. Better living in a broken heart. Better living in a
Off the script now. What, I don't know. More harp, eh? All right, let's see.
While he's doing that, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who's watching. This is actually going to be the longest live at the Roslyn ever. Scott, how do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, is that true?
This will be. Nobody wanted it to end. There's so many people watching, and everybody wants to hear you just do what you do.
Hang in with us, eh?
Yeah. Keep
All
it
right,
going.
So we're doing a couple more songs?
Couple more songs.
Okay, let's do
You got your mama's eyes, your daddy's smile, your head looked at me like that in a while. Shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it loose. When I get down to the just what to do, mama, shake it loose, shake it loose. My heartstrings follow the tune. The house is on fire, baby, dinner is rude. Shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it loose. 2 queens, 1 jack, 1 9, 1 deuce, mama, shake it loose. My heart nearly skipped a beat. Come on, baby, dance with me. And the prettiest girl I ever saw. You know that loving her was like breaking the law. Shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it loose. Come on, mama, shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it. Proof of the bullet holes in my moonroof. Shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it loose. Ain't women like you, I'm in the blues. Shake it loose, shake it loose. Like nicotine with gin and juice. The locomotive and the caboose. Shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it loose. Love will cry, maybe you could be my mama. Shake it loose. My heart nearly skipped a beat. Come on, baby, dance with me. The prettiest girl I ever saw, you know. Loving her was like breaking the law. Shake it loose. Come Come on, baby, shake it loose. Come on, mama, shake it loose. Come on, baby, shake it, shake it.
All right, well, we started with Winnipeg, so we'll end with Winnipeg. And we did this on Wheeler's show this morning. It's called The Last One, and I think it will be the last one. And thank you guys very much. This is wonderful. William Prince told me how much I'd love it. He was right. And I think it's an amazing and great thing you're doing for Winnipeg artists. And I particularly like the emerging artist things you did. And, man, that's giving people a place to play is such an important thing. So thank you guys for the great work you're doing. Once again, Mr. Kevin McLean on the Wurlitzer electric piano. Do a normal tempo, I think. Should we normal tempo? One, two, three. Well, it's not right. See, we can virtually chop that. Oh, no, we can't. We're live. 1, 2, 3.
Jets, Jersey, and a Trans Am. Thunder and lightning in the flam-flams. A season ticket, flat tire. Transistor radio with bare wires. City punks and country bars. And pedal steel muscle cars. My Sunday suit, well worn. Saying my prayers through a bullhorn. Just what we get sometimes. Ain't that just what you get? I've been waiting so long. My radio keeps playing the same songs in the long shadow of the setting sun, where every other day is like the last one. Highway 1 blues again. It's nothing but the wind and train tracks. Now everything's in blue and black. Motorcycle boy with no fear. And a big old sign that says, don't you come around here. Beware of owner and keep the peace. We're in the kind of place they don't call the police. And ain't that just what you get sometimes? Ain't that just what we get? I've been waiting so long. My radio keeps playing the same songs in the long shadow of the setting sun, where every other day is like the last one. And I've been waiting so long. My radio keeps playing the same songs in the long shadow of the setting sun, where every other day is like the last one. Where every other day is. Thanks, everybody.
Everybody at home, give it up for Scott Nolan with Kevin McLean on the Wurlitzer. We do this every single Wednesday at 8 p.m., and thank you so much for the love and support. Next week, we have Odder Than the Otters. Thanks a lot, everyone.